Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with my review of Money in the Bank 2022 from the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. And gosh, I can almost hear them cheering from 8 hours away here in Reno. But be that as it may, the show begins with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I had to give credit to Lacey Evans for the face paint she had during this match. It reminded me a lot of what that masked Kane figure I have underneath when you pull back the hair. Early in the match, Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan draped on two sides of one ladder, and Raquel Rodriguez doing a bit of a deadlift with it. Shotzi going for a ladder run in the corner, but she slips, unfortunately. We have Raquel pinned in the corner, many ladies stacked along the ladder, then Becky Lynch hits the leg drop onto it. Nice exchange by Lacey and Asuka with the strike attempt. Lacey almost grabs the case, but then we get Raquel and Liv going up. Liv with a sunset flip off the top of the ladder. Alexa Bliss on Shotzi's shoulders. They fall backward into the ladder, and that looks kind of rough, but not as rough as the missed senton by Shotzi onto that other ladder. Ouch. Raquel and Asuka fighting on the announce table next to the ladder bridge, teasing something big. Becky enters the chat and jumps off a ladder and onto Asuka. Kind of slides off her on the way down. Looks painful. Becky pushing Liv down, but she bounces off the ropes, kicks Becky off the ladder, grabs the briefcase, and wins. Becky Lynch is livid, and Liv Morgan has the Money in the Bank briefcase. It was a pretty solid match here. It was very spot heavy. Spot-tastic is the word I would describe to use it, because it was just bam, bam, bam. Not a lot of room to breathe between things. It almost felt like they were rushed in a way. If you compare it to the men's ladder match later in the show, they were given a lot more time, and so that was spaced out a little more, and so I got a bit more enjoyment out of that match, I'd say, in terms of, timing and pacing than I did the women's match. Still, it was fun, and a great win for Liv Morgan, by the way. Theory defends the U.S. Championship against Bobbity Lashley, and King, this all started over some baby oil in the face. Lashley off to a good start, knocking Theory around. A nice sequence where they fight for that big spot into the corner post, almost gets derailed with a scary catch by Lashley, but they recover. Theory applying pressure for a long time on Lashley, who eventually powers out and makes a comeback. Theory going for a rolling nothing and is caught midair by Lashley into a big ol' slam. Theory does get that rolling dropkick off later. Theory with a speary goes for A-Town down, but Lashley counters into the Hurt Lock and wins. New champ. I gave this one 3.5 stars out of 5. I was impressed with this matchup here. I thought it was going to be okay, but I think it really exceeded my expectations. Good power and athleticism on display. I did like a lot of the sequences they had. Some of the different movements in the match I thought were really cool, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the way the match ended with Lashley regaining the championship. Liv Morgan interviewed backstage with the briefcase. She's asked which champion is she going to go for. She says she doesn't know right now, doesn't know if it'll be till WrestleMania, but she wants to celebrate for the moment. On we go to the Raw Women's Championship match as Bianca Belair takes on Carmella, who originally was supposed to beat Rhea Ripley in that spot. I did appreciate the fact that both ladies are wearing money-themed attire for Money in the Bank. Carmella and Bianca get into a little shoving match to start things off, leads to the champ getting an early advantage inside the ring and out. Carmella begins to work over Bianca. Nice submission here. Bianca comes back. We get the corner punches. Belair kicks out of the big kick. Mella shouts that Bianca is the tackiest and the cheapest, but Bianca has none of that shit. Gets her up for the KOD to win and retain. I give it 2 stars out of 5. It was a fine match, but fine's about it. Nothing really wrong with this match, but I just don't think it was given a ton of time, and it also didn't feel like there was really any doubt as to how this match would end. But wait, Carmella with the sneak attack after the bell, jumping Bianca. Bianca just stands there in the ring as Mella slowly leaves. I've always hated that, when there's a beatdown or a sneaky victory and the heel escapes and the face is just standing there. Oh, I can't believe that happened. Like, why don't you get up and chase them? You're clearly upset about this. Like, get some of that heat back. They recap the Logan Paul signing from Thursday. We see a video of Paul in the contract signing room. You can hear the fans booing when this video plays, by the way, saying the last thing he wants to do is team with The Miz, and that he signed this deal to beat Miz's ass at SummerSlam. So on Monday, Miz will have his response, but for right now, I guess you can pencil that match in for SummerSlam. And if you want to hear my thoughts on Logan Paul being signed, you can check out This Week in Regret, which I dropped on Friday. That video is right here. We get a skit with Alexa Bliss talking to Lilly, and it reveals the WWE credit card, and this spot gets booed a lot. Up next, follow that, boys. It's the Undisputed Tag Title match as the Usos defend against the Street Profits. The Usos talking some trash before the match. Profits go through the crowd like in the good old days. The pandemic's over, everyone. Angelo Dawkins with a nice cartwheel and dropkick early on. The Profits get a suck it chant going when the Usos powder. The Usos take over. The Usos suplex Dawkins into the corner post. Pat McAfee's eyes have never seen that before.
Have I ever seen that? I don't think I have. Have your eyes ever seen that goal 25 years?
Very rarely.
Dawkins just getting pounded in the ring, but a well-timed punch giving him the shot to make a hot tag. Montez and Jay in the ring. Super kick out of the sky, and now it's Tez's turn to take the heat. I love how McAfee sells the wishbone spot.
Oh, make a wish, Pat. Oh, my God.
The trash talk of the night, and I quote, "Are you sucking it now?" Montez finds an opening. He tags in Dawkins, who opens up with a plancha, then later trucks through both Usos on the outside. Lovely double team move back in the ring. The suck it blockbuster, the kick out. Montez walks into a double super kick. We get a kick out. Cole on commentary said we were going to get an hour Broadway in Vegas, and I popped big for the terminology. Montez leaps over the turnbuckle onto the Usos. The slam, the frog splash, the pin's broken up. We get a stare down. Bit of a slip up in the middle of the ring, but they recover. The 1D to forward. The Usos win and retain, but then we get the replay and it shows that Tez's shoulder was clearly up when the ref made the count. Controversy! This one gets 4.5 stars out of 5 for me. I mean, what a match here. I mean, you could rank this and the Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins match at Hell in a Cell up there with like one on a short list right now of one of the best matches of the year by WWE. This was fantastic work by both teams here, and it was exactly what I kind of expected it to be. It could have been, you know, the match of the night, or at least one of the top ones. I think this definitely became the match of the night, maybe more so than the latter matches when it was all said and done here. The controversial finish does put a bit of a damper on it, I suppose, and it makes you wonder, you know, it felt very shooty at first, like it wasn't supposed to go like that, and they just kind of like played off it, but maybe this was intentional. It certainly sets up for a rematch down the line with these two teams, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if when they do have a rematch inevitably that maybe the Street Profits could win in the end. A creepy vignette plays. There's a mysterious figure and some candles. We get a Latino heat license plate. There's a gold medal, some crosses, Hardy Boys armbands, glasses with tape in the middle. A lot of people online speculating that maybe it's Bray Wyatt, since, you know, for a long time in the company, he kind of cornered the market on spooky, creepy, mysterious vignettes. But I think the imagery here would make Edge a lot more of a likely candidate, wouldn't it? I feel, because like it's the Dudleys are referenced, the Hardys, you know, that sort of thing. Eddie Guerrero is a bit of a stretch. I know they did fight, but that was very much that's not someone I would associate with an Edge rival off the top of my head. There would be a few more that would come before him, but still, very interesting here is maybe the Edge's rebirth after he was kicked out of the Judgment Day. But again, totally speculative. Could be Edge. It could be Bray for all we know, but I mean, who do you think it's going to be? Let me know in the comments. Happy birthday, Bret Hart. Time for the Smackdown Women's Championship match as Natalya challenges Ronda Rousey, who gets booed pretty heavily in this matchup throughout. Some good chain wrestling to start this match off. Ronda going for the ankle lock. Ronda still getting booed, but Natalya not getting cheered. The women call each other bitch as they go back and forth. Really cool spot off the ropes by the two ladies. Natalya's abdominal stretch is reversed, which then gets reversed itself. Ronda with a takedown. Natalya making a noise that sounds like she was legit hurt for a second.
Natalya down, and Natalya.
Ronda putting in the sharpshooter with a bit of HBK flavor thrown in. Takes too much time on the armbar and is thrown to the outside. Seems to hurt her leg. Sharpshooter on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. Ronda rolls out of it. Natalya splats into the corner post. Some great holds and counter holds. Natalya goes for the sharpshooter again, countered into an ankle lock. Another attempt. Ronda grabs an armbar, head scissor combo. Natalya taps, and Ronda wins and retains. I really enjoyed this thing. The story they told with the back and forth and the submission counters upon counters, that stuff's pretty exciting to me, and so seeing them bust that out pretty effortlessly, all told, I think was really fun to watch. And these two have great chemistry. They mentioned on commentary it was Natalya who trained Rousey in the first place when she became WWE wrestler. So yeah, the fact that they do have good chemistry in this match doesn't surprise me. And yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be a pretty good one, knowing the history of them and the styles they each have. And so yeah, I thought it was very physical, looked pretty believable. But then wait, as Ronda is selling, Liv Morgan shows up and she is cashing in. Man, they love having the ladies pull the trigger within like 24 hours, don't they? The match begins and Ronda gets her in the ankle lock. Liv kicks her leg out from under her leg and rolls her up to win. Liv Morgan is the new SmackDown Women's Champ, and Ronda showing some sportswomanship. It's hard to give it a proper rating here. It doesn't really factor into the score, but it was still a terrific moment, and the drama of Liv almost losing by ankle lock, it was such a potential gut punch, and so for it to end the way it did with Liv getting the win here, I thought was huge. And even though Ronda was compromised here in the match, I still think that it was a great, huge win for Liv, obviously, and you know, the way her career has gone and the way they've They've told the story of her struggle for so long, and the fans have been wanting this for so long. It finally comes to a head here with this really cool moment, this really exciting moment. We've seen it done before, especially in the last few years. Like, there's these really quick turnarounds with the cash-ins they seem to do almost exclusively with the ladies, it seems. But even though it's a bit we've seen before on Money in the Bank pay-per-views, it's still very satisfying, still very cool to watch. And honestly, there's a lot more meat on the bone for a Liv Morgan championship reign to me at this point than a Ronda Rousey championship reign. I think that was about the most you could have gotten out of that reign and had it still have any juice left in it. It's now time for the main event, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. All 7 guys are in the ring, but before the bell can ring, Adam Pearce shows up on stage. He announces he wants to add one more person to the match, and it's Theory, the former U.S. champion who we saw earlier tonight, has now been added to the match. And if and that ain't a dead giveaway to this thing. Seth and Theory try hitting Omos to the ladder, but it does them no good. Omos doing a reverse hit onto Riddle and Madcap. Omos is on a roll, but he's hit with a Claymore. Drew and Sheamus fight until they catch Theory trying to sneak up the ladder. He gets caught, and the two friends turned rivals take turns hitting the beats of the Bowdred on him. We get a few more pairings like Riddle and Seth, Madcap and Zayn. Omos lands some more people out, then he starts to climb. Omos gets ganged up on, drops a whole 2 or 3 feet and sells it off the ladders. He gets the crap beaten out of them. They Braun Strowman him. They bury him in those ladders. We get the everyone up top at one spot. Madcap powerbombs Sammy into a ladder placed in the corner. Drew almost grabs the case but gets laid out with the white noise. Sheamus goes to the bro kick but misses. Riddle hits the Orton-like drape over DDT. Riddle climbs up the ladder, hits the floating bro onto everyone. Very clever move by Theory to brace that ladder for him. Omos is back, but the guys decide to destroy him again. They all lift him up and throw him through the announce table. Amazing. We're getting a lot of ladder bridges set up here. Drew going for the climb, but Butch shows up to save Sheamus. Drew benches the ladder from underneath. Can't quite get Sheamus to fall into that ladder, though. Zayn dumps Sheamus and Drew, and here's his chance, but here comes Madcap, who shoves him off. Rollins knocks him off. Moss takes a spill, and then the stomp. Riddle brings in the Jeff Hardy-sized ladder. Riddle hits the RKO to Seth off the top. Riddle and Theory up top now, but Theory knocking Riddle off, grabs the briefcase to win, and he takes his selfie. I give this one 3.5 stars as well. I like it more than the women's ladder match for the pacing reasons, like I explained in the first match, but I think it was still, it was not the most innovative or really dramatic ladder match in the world. There were a couple of good moments. I liked how they incorporated Omos and how they kept riding him off of things, and I thought there were some good moments as well. It was not just a parade of big-ass spots, like they were kind of spaced out a little bit more. Theory winning was absolutely guaranteed once he showed up, and very edge-like in that manner, But I mean, I'm not sure I like him doing that, especially after Theory had so little in-ring time in this matchup. Obviously, he wrestled once before, but it just feels so cheap for it to be like this. It feels kind of like a cop-out. They've done something like this before, it feels, with Money in the Bank, and it just feels like they're just kind of like doing it again. And where this is going to tie in with the McMahon favoritism, I'm not quite sure. It's, I think having a swerve finish on this makes things interesting and certainly added a little bit of spice to the end of the show. Not one of the most innovative Money in the Banks, but I think it was still pretty physical, still pretty fun on the whole. I thought this was a pretty strong show overall. I think both the ladder matches were, good, but not great. Liv cashing in, though, was incredibly cool to see, and the tag title match, the Usos and the Street Profits, was amazing. And there was a pretty damn solid mid-card surrounding all that as well. Like I said, Theory as the briefcase winner really makes you wonder where they're actually going to go with it, what and when it might all come into play. Will we see something at SummerSlam after Brock and Roman? Will he be getting the Seth Rollins treatment as well? Time will tell, but I think that there was enough interesting stuff that was like fun and like redeeming to watch. You want to watch some of that stuff again and get an enjoyment out of it. And so, yeah, this show was never going to fill out Allegiant Stadium, but you know what? MGM Grand was rocking from this show, I'd say. But what did you think of Money in the Bank, folks? I want to hear it in the comment section below. And speaking of SummerSlam, that is going to be happening in Nashville later this month. Also happening that weekend is the STARRCAST convention, STARRCAST 5 at the Nashville Fairgrounds, and I'm excited to say I'm going to be involved in the festivities that weekend. Now, I'm not at liberty to say just what I'll be doing yet. There will be an announcement, I would think, in the next few days as to what my involvement will be. I'm very excited for this opportunity, and I can't wait to share that news with all y'all. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.